All right, let's talk about a concept that gets a lot of hype and honestly a lot of skepticism, manifestation. Today we're digging into the book The Source by Dr. Tara Swart, who's a neuroscientist, and she uses actual brain science to explain how all of this might really work.
So, let's just cut to the chase. Can you really think your way to a new job or a better life? You know, the whole create your own reality thing has been around forever, but for a lot of us, it feels a little, out there. Is it just wishful thinking, or is there something real happening inside our heads?
So let me ask you a question. Does this sound familiar? You know you want to make a change. You even try, but somehow you just keep ending up back in the same old spot. It's one of the most frustrating feelings in the world, right? Well, it turns out the reason, and more importantly, the solution, is all in your brain.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the power that's already inside your brain. Then we'll uncover its secret weapon for dealing with reality. And then, and this is the good part, we'll get into a practical blueprint for making real, lasting change.
Okay, first things first. We have to talk about the one core concept that makes all of this possible. And that word is neuroplasticity.
Now, if you only remember one thing today, please let it be this. Your brain is not fixed. It's not this rigid, unchangeable computer you were born with. Neuroplasticity is the real, scientifically proven fact that your brain can physically change. It can rewire itself at any point in your life.
And this chart breaks it down perfectly. We can actually move away from that old fixed mindset of, well, this is just who I am, and step into the scientific truth, I can become who I want to be. Because our habits, our pathways, they aren't permanent. They can be rewired. So how does this rewiring actually happen? Well, Dr. Swart breaks it down into 3 ways. First, there's myelination. Think of this like paving a dirt road. The more you do something you're good at, the more you pave that pathway, making it a super fast highway in your brain. Second, you have synaptic connections. This is when you learn something new. It's hard work, but it forces your brain cells to link up in new ways. And then there's the big one, neurogenesis. This is the birth of brand new neurons, which is super rare in adults, but it's also the most powerful way our brain can change.
Okay, so our brains can change. That's awesome. But how? How do we actually direct that change? Well, it all starts with understanding a secret weapon your brain uses every single second of every day to manage reality.
Just think about it for a second. Right now, there are literally millions of bits of information hitting your senses. The light in the room, the sounds around you, the feeling of the air. It's a total flood. You can't possibly pay attention to all of it. So your brain has this amazing filter.
Think of your brain like a bouncer at a super exclusive club. It can't let every single piece of information in, right? You'd be totally overwhelmed. So it filters. But the amazing part is you can actually train that bouncer. You can tell it, hey, start looking for opportunities that match what I want and stop letting in all the junk that's based on my old fears. And here's how that bouncer decides who gets in. First, there's selective attention. You know how when you decide you want a specific car, you suddenly start seeing it everywhere? That's your brain, primed to notice it. The other tool is value tagging. It's actually pretty simple. Whatever you repeatedly focus on, your brain literally slaps a little important sticker on it. The more you think about something, the more your brain tags it as valuable and starts to actively scan the world for more of it. And this is where things get really, really powerful. Because if we get to choose what we focus on, that means we control the important stickers. We can literally program our own brains to look for what we want to see in the world.
Let's see how this works in real life. If you're always thinking, I never have enough money, or opportunities are so rare, you're essentially telling your brain's filter to go out and find evidence to prove you right. But if you flip that switch and start focusing on abundance, on opportunity, your brain's filter actively starts seeking that out for you. You start to see things that were there all along.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. How do we actually put this into practice? Now, you've probably heard of vision boards, and maybe you're a little skeptical. I get it. But Dr. Swart reframes this idea in a way that is pure brain science. Let me be crystal clear about something. We are not talking about just wishing for something and poof, it appears out of thin air. No, this is about something much more real. It's about a tool for brain training. It's a way to deliberately aim that powerful filtering system we've been talking about.
The first tool is basically a major upgrade to the classic vision board. Dr. Swart calls it an action board. And this quote really says it all. This isn't about just sitting back and wishing. It's about programming your brain to spot opportunities and take action. Every time you look at the images of your goals,
You're basically screaming at your brain's filter, hey, this is what's important. Go find it. And so your brain starts to notice opportunities, people, and resources related to those goals that you absolutely would have missed before.
So beyond an action board, what's the actual day-to-day process for rewiring a habit or belief? Dr. Swart gives us a fantastic, clear, 4-step blueprint to do just that.
And to make this super clear, let's use a real-world example she talks about. She has a friend who's stuck in this really destructive dating pattern. The friend knows what she's doing is a problem, but she doesn't see the deep underlying belief that's actually driving the whole thing. So how does she change for real? Here's the blueprint. Step 1 is raised awareness. You have to see the pattern, but then you have to dig deeper. Ask why. What's the core belief that's making this happen? Step 2 is focused attention. This is about consciously connecting the dots, really feeling how the old behavior leads to a painful result. Then comes step 3, deliberate practice. You have to actively look for opportunities to try the new, better behavior. And finally, the most crucial part, step 4, repetition. You do it over and over and over again until that new way of being becomes the new automatic default in your brain.
And all of this, everything we've talked about, it leads to one final and honestly incredibly empowering conclusion. It really is that simple. The thoughts you choose to focus on physically change the structure and wiring of your brain. And that newly wired brain, in turn, changes how you see the world, what you notice, and ultimately, what you create in your life.
I love this quote from Dr. Swart because it just drives home that sense of personal power. Every single choice we make, whether we're conscious of it or not, shapes the pathways in our brain. And by making that process conscious, by choosing what we focus on, we are quite literally choosing who we are becoming.
So in the end, it really all comes down to this. The source of all the change, the creation, the potential, it's right between your ears. So the only question left is, what will you create?